Hey, it's Lucy here from Wrestling Travel. You should check out the Edward Fowler Show. He's on the podcast, he's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. He's really good, he chats about wrestling, dead relaxed, dead fun. You should definitely check him out.
Okay, I'll just tweet something out here.
You're listening to the best wrestling podcast in the UK. This is the Edward Fowler Show.
It sure is, and welcome to the Edward Fowler Show again, here for the second time today, live on YouTube.com. We're joined by a great UFC fighter. Recommendation, actually, from, Mike the Truth Jackson, who's on the show a few weeks ago. And it's a pleasure having him on here. Now, I may pronounce your name incorrectly, so I apologise for that. If he does, he may come to the UK now and smash me up, which is fine with me. But for pronouncing his name incorrectly, but I don't know how you pronounce his name, but I'm going to say this. Juan Adams, welcome to my show.
Oh, what's up, man? It's actually Juan Adams.
Juan Adams, okay. My apologies, but I was a bit close. But how are you doing today? You doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing fantastically well now since we got you on the show, and thank you for simply coming on the show short notice, because I contacted you just on, I think it was on Monday, maybe wrong, and I didn't know what you were going to say. I thought you might say no or you see some proof, but did you do some research, or did you just take me at face value?
Face value, just go with it. I don't take myself too seriously all the time, so I figured worst thing could happen.
Yeah, well, you did the right thing, and this is true. And if you don't believe me, you can now go on YouTube.com and you can find your video, and you can then search all my other videos, and you can see it's actually legit. But it's good to have you on the show, and let's talk about firstly. Then you probably won't like me even more now, because I'm going to bring up your last fight in the UFC back in July, and what was going through your head before that event?
I didn't think there was any way I was going to lose that fight. So I went in there, executed the game plan. It was hit him when you see an opening, take the shot. I took the shot, and, I've never seen a fight stopped in that position before. I wasn't really absorbing any real damage, but things happen. It's 2 fights in a row now. Like, one, I've lost a bad decision, one controversial stoppage, but it's part of the game, it's part of the sport, and you gotta get used to it. It's better to have those type of fights early in your career as opposed to, in title fights or, bigger fights. So you just gotta learn the lessons now and move forward with the career.
Yeah, and after being TKO'd at the 45 seconds, how do you go back to training and try change things up that did not happen again that early on in a match, kind of thing? Like, how did you rewatch the fight, or did you just thought, okay, I'll go back to the drawing board and think of other scenarios what I can change maybe?
We rewatched the fight. There's nothing really to change. I'm gonna be going to a new training camp and things like that to be surrounded with better training partners. But that result it's a fluke. So you don't base your career off of flukes. I'm not gonna base my training off of something that's a 1 in a million scenario. That'd be idiotic. And you look at the fight, you watch the fight, it was just one bad shot. I know how to take a shot. I've wrestled Division I. That's the only shot in my career, and like any MMA fight ever, that I haven't finished. So to change everything based off of one mistake, or to change everything based off of one outcome, it's not smart. There's plenty of fighters in the UFC that have missed more takedowns than I have. There's plenty of other athletes that have made more mistakes than I have. I just ended up on the wrong side of the result this time.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it means means when you are preparing for a fight, when you get told whoever you're facing, then how do you go around training for them? Do you like watch matches, like past fights of them to see what they're maybe what's them looking for weaknesses in them to see what you can do to get past these guys, or do you just train the way you always train and doesn't matter who you're facing?
Yeah, I always just let my coaches watch the film. I trust them. That's their job to do. My job is to show up and, train as hard as I can in every session that I'm given and, execute the game plan. So I trust them to come up with a game plan and we go from there. If there's something that they feel I need to watch or if they think that, they might be missing something, they'll ask me to watch the film, but I don't watch film with my opponents.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I mean, what's your relationship like with Dana White in UFC? Is it a great relationship? And will we see you back in any fights coming up over the next few months?
Probably not. Dana, I don't even think knows my name off the top of his head. I mean, he's on a card, he might know me, but only interactions I've had with him are my Contender Series fight and before my debut. I saw him when I went up to some Contender Series fights a few weeks ago, and he seemed jovial and happy. So he doesn't hate me, but I don't think he particularly cares one way or the other about.
I
So,
think he does.
so there's that, but no, I'm a pretty good relationship with the UFC. I've always been very cordial to the staff. I always make sure they know that I appreciate what they do, and make everything go super smoothly. It's one of the most well-run operations I've ever been a part of. So I think I have a good relationship with them. I've said before I don't think I'll fight again probably till February or March. It's one of those things where I have to do a pretty drastic change in training environment. I think I'm doing all the right things. I just don't have partners. So when you don't have guys your size or guys on your ability level, you don't really get good looks, and it doesn't prepare you as well as you could be prepared for the fights.
Gotcha. Well, if we have to wait then till as you say, till February till March, then I can't wait to see you back in action again. I'm hoping this time you get a win, even maybe a TKO to somebody whoever you face in February or March, because that'd be what's best for business, kind of thing. Get a TKO, knock him out, and get the attention of Dana White, saying, you now know who I am. Get him to know what your name is, kind of thing. But I want to get your opinion though. Did you watch 242 last weekend?
I did actually. I watched the replays of it. I was working while it was on actually.
Okay, and what did you think of the matches?
I thought it was a really good card. Really well put together. I was obviously very happy for my friend Curtis Blades. He won his fight in pretty dominant fashion, and of course Khabib. I wanted Dustin Poirier to win, but I picked Khabib because you don't pick against the Eagle. So
no, you don't, and he's undefeated, and he's dominant. He's like a killer in there, isn't he? And the thing about Khabib is every time he gets you, he always takes you down. It's like every time he gets a hold of you, he buys his time, he gets your weakness, takes you down to the mat and tries to, submit you, kind of thing. But what do you make of the comment made by Conor McGregor about a possible rematch in Moscow? Would you want to see that again or not?
No, I mean, I don't think Conor McGregor is a title fight caliber fighter anymore. I don't see him And I feel like people are just kind of tired of the whole Conor McGregor show. It was great. He really catapulted MMA to where it is right now. He created it, made it more mainstream than what it was. But at this point, it's about winning fights for him and good matchups and good styles. And we've already seen how Khabib versus Conor plays out. That's how it's going to play out. 8 out of 10 times. And Conor, there's other interesting fights that people want to see Conor McGregor in. Like, people want to see Conor McGregor versus a Justin Gaethje. People want to see a Conor McGregor versus Tony Ferguson. Um, there's so many other fights to make at that weight class. And 155 is such a stacked division. He's already lost a title fight, hasn't fought since then. Um, why would people want to see that?
Yeah, yeah, makes sense, and we have to see now what happens. It's up to Dana White really, or what he wants to see, because he's like the power man, isn't he? But to you though, who would you want to face next in your next UFC fight if it is in February or March? And any predictions? Anyone you want to face?
Yeah, I want just a fun matchup now. I don't really care about ranking or anything like that at this point. A Cyril Asker and Alan Crowder would be fun. Tai Tuivasa is someone I've always wanted to fight. I just think that would be a fun fight for the fans. Two guys that he goes out there, he puts it all in the cage. He always leaves it all out there, and I want to go out there and just put it all out there on the line too. So that would be a fun fight. There's a lot of guys, a lot of fights to make for me at this point. I don't really care who it's against. Sergey Spivak, that would be another fight that I would love to have. Just things like that. Guys that aren't super high ranked and may have one or two losses that haven't really, or one or two fights that haven't really gone their way. They're in the same boat I'm in. Those are good fights for me right now. But like I've said before, I'll fight anyone. If they want to throw me against Hardy again, I'll go out there and I'll fight him again. I don't care. Like, I don't turn down fights.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think you would. If you do that, I don't think you'd be, a UFC fighter. I've not met a UFC fighter who will turn down fights because they're cowards. I think you take every opportunity you get and every fight you can face, really. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I know recently though, after that loss last month, you appeared on another podcast in your local area in Houston, good old Houston, Texas, and the Hall of Fame podcast. You know who I'm talking about now, don't you? Booker T. Have you accepted his invite to go down to Reality of Wrestling yet?
No, I have not yet. I'm actually very busy. I do train a lot, and on top of that, I work. I coach at a high school.
Okay.
And I coach football and wrestling there.
Nice.
So I'm pretty busy this time of the year. In the off season, I'll be going down there for sure. Though I've always been a huge fan of Booker T, and I do love entertainment wrestling for sure. So it is something that I want to do. I just have to make the time for it. Have to sort it out in the schedule and everything. I'm balancing a lot right now between training, girlfriend, work, my own personal projects on the side, so we just got to make the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait though to see you in down in Reality of Wrestling, and maybe even school Booker T, and maybe even school some of his students down in the Reality of Wrestling. But do you think you might make the transition over from UFC into pro wrestling at some point? Then maybe do both if you have the time to do that in your off season.
Not right now. That'd be something in 2 or 3 years. Maybe I'd consider, but right now I need to focus solely on UFC stuff and MMA and making the best fights possible, making the most money I can right now. So it's just MMA for me. I want to give this 100%, be all in, and see where it takes me.
I like how you use the word all in there for a minute there. You know, all in, of course, a pay-per-view name for All Elite Wrestling. But I mean, you know, make the most money you can do. You're making the smart decision by sticking with UFC, where you make the most money in. And I bet your students at your high school, though, must think, wow, I'm so happy I get to be trained by a celebrity. Like, you're like a celebrity now, really, aren't you? You know, appearing on UFC and all that business, you know, and what did the students say to you? Like, did they give you any encouragement or any advice which you could take on board or not?
Not really. You know, the kids that I coach for wrestling are pretty cool. They always are encouraging. The kids I coach for football just talk a lot of shit. So I don't really listen to any of them. You know, most people, once they start talking about Greg Hardy, the fights, or my fights in general, I kind of just tune out altogether. Because you gotta understand, like, whatever I hear from them, for these people, or when people want to talk to me about fighting, one, it's something I hear constantly. You know, it's constant input. No matter when, like, I open my phone, I see some type of bullshit. I'm out in public and somebody starts talking, and they always preface it like, "Oh, I know you probably don't want to talk about it." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, I don't," and so I don't want to talk about it. And another thing also is, like, you gotta understand that a lot of these people have no training at all, or no experience in MMA at all.
Of course,
So
yeah.
their questions are dumb. One, and two, you know, if they want to be negative, or talk crap to me, it's just like, all right, what have you done in your life? You know, I've just fought on ESPN. You know, that's one of my lifelong dreams, to be on ESPN. You know, be a pro athlete, live this lifestyle. And then I've got people that want to just crap on it for the sole purpose of being negative. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I don't blame you, and I respect that as well. And of course, not just on ESPN you got to perform on, you got to perform on as well on Fox. You know, the Fox network back when it used to be on good old Fox Sports. You know, FS1 back in the good old days. And you know, which and of course, which city do you love to travel to then? Which city do you love to fight in then? Is there a certain city you love to fight apart from Houston, Texas, of course?
You know, Vegas. When I fought in Vegas, I love that. I love Vegas. Ottawa, I liked also. You know, I like going places that aren't, you know, too far from the U.S. I love traveling to the U.S. to fight. I love fighting in the U.S. I don't like fighting. I don't look forward to fighting somewhere where I have to battle a time change and all that. Another thing is, like, I find the farther away I fight, the more questions I have to answer from people, or the more questions I get. Like, oh, well, what time is the fight? When are you fighting? Local time. It's just, look it up, bro. Like, I don't.
Yeah. Like, you got access to the internet. Do it yourself. Just go on Google, type him in the event start. Don't just bug this guy. He's too busy getting ready for the fight, you know. But I mean, you know, you got to come to the UK though. You know, you got to come out to the UK and fight here. You know, even though it's a bit of a long time difference, but still, the UK are quite rowdy UFC fans over here. We're very passionate. You know, we'll tell you how it is. So you know, we would love to see you come on fight in the UK. It's time for you to come to the UK. You like that?
Yeah, man, I would actually love to fight in the UK. I heard the candy over there is a little bit sweet, so I'm actually really excited to try that out. That's my favorite thing about fighting. Wherever we go, I get to try out new foods.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, you have to come over and you have our candy and our beers and our, even as well, tour the cities. Tour, you know, the cities you're fighting in as well. You know, be a good old sightseeing for you. You know, get you in a relaxing time. You know, before the big day, before the fight day. You know, just do some relaxing times. Go to some sightseeing and such like that. Eat some food and such.
Yeah, I look forward to that. That'd be really cool. If that's in the future, I'm all for it. Like I said, I would never turn down a fight. So if they offer me that one and that's the location, that's where I'm going.
Good to hear. But we want to see, because we know they go into a lot in London. They go to London a lot, but they need to go to other areas in the UK as well. They need to come to the best city in the world, Manchester, UK. Not go to London. Come to Manchester, UK. They need to explore the horizons and expand the UFC brand from London to other parts of the UK. Do you think?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think that'll be definitely beneficial for both the UFC and Manchester.
Yeah, definitely. Because again, it's one of the best in the world. I think it's better than Houston, Texas, than Las Vegas, than Baltimore, than Boston. Better known places, but that's my own opinion. But what's your relationship with what's your friendship with Mike the Truth Jackson?
Man, Mike is really big in the Houston MMA scene or the MMA scene in Texas in general. He's one of the first real MMA journalists we've had, the premier photographer down here. So he was always at the gym, because we had fighters there even through when I was in college. When I would come home, I would be working with some of the fighters on their wrestling, and he was always there. And then from my amateur debut forward, he was always the photographer at the events. Then I went on his show. They talked about me on his show a couple of times, and from there we've hung out a few times afterwards. Also, we both have a love for food, a love for women, and we'd like to have a good time. So we've hung out a few times, and we talk a lot about the fight and things like that. So he's a real true friend of mine, and also just been super beneficial to have him around in my career. A lot of guys don't get the footage or good pictures or quality exposure. He's helped me on all fronts in my career to really progress me and get me to where I am today. So it's like somewhat of a mentor, very much a friend, and I very, very much value Mike Jackson.
Good to hear. And when we on the show, he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy, very friendly guy, and I'm glad you have a good friendship. Now you mentioned about food there. What is your go-to food then when you are busy fighting? And what's your favorite food of all time?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm a huge dessert guy.
Okay.
So it would definitely. I think it's some type of chocolate cheesecake. That's my number one. Tres leches cake. I love that one too. But it's not really a food I don't like. So, man, I like a lot of different foods. In camp, I'm a huge fan of Vietnamese food during fight camps. That's Vietnamese food and Mediterranean food. I eat a lot of during my fight camps, so those are pretty good.
Yeah. Let's talk about then as well. Let's talk about going to other cities about Ottawa. What food have you tried there?
I did the poutine and beaver tails in Ottawa. Those were my go-to.
Okay, quite interesting. Never had it before. Would you recommend it?
Yeah, definitely. Beaver tails are a dessert up there. It's not actual beaver tail. It's a pastry made to look like a beaver's tail. It's really, really good. And then the poutine was awesome. It's just like fries, gravy, and cheese, and then whatever you want on it. I loved it. It was definitely one of my favorite parts of Ottawa.
Oh, it sounds just delicious, and I know someone who I think will recommend it as well, Alicia Tooth, a good old journalist from Canada. Let's talk about your social media. Let's talk about social media. For my YouTube viewers, they can see it on your screen or your social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But for our listeners on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, where can they find you on social media?
So on Twitter and Instagram, it's Chosen Juan 285. And Facebook, it's Juan the Kraken Adams is my fan page.
Yeah.
I'm not super active on there right now. I'm kind of just busy all the time.
Yeah.
But when I have time, I post a lot on there. I try and keep it entertaining. It's not like your typical fighter stuff. I don't really post training videos. I don't post stuff of me in the gym all the time because everybody does that.
Yeah. And it can get boring as well, can't you? You know, seeing pictures like, oh yeah, he's doing that again, yeah. You know.
Right.
So yeah, do it different, outside the box. I like it. And again, you can find him on Facebook that way, or you can find him on Facebook through this method as well. Can MMA is the username you got on Facebook. It's facebook.com/KRAKEN MMA, and you can find him that way as well on Facebook.com. Let's talk about as well. Then, is there anyone who you want to wrestle? Kind of thing. If you're a digger into wrestling, is there anyone you would love to get in the ring with?
So I honestly haven't even thought about it. I had a WWE tryout.
You did, yeah.
The workouts. During that time, all I was thinking about were the workouts, making it through each drill, trying not to mess things up too badly, and not getting injured. I never got to the point where I was thinking about people I'd like to face in the ring. It just being in there would be fun. It looks like a lot of fun. Guys like Cain Velasquez, I watched his Lucha Libre debut, and he looked great, man. So, some people can do it, but for me, that was always more of a spectator thing. I never myself as a competitor in that respect.
Gotcha. And so I'm guessing then your favorite of all time is Booker T, then, is it? Since he's Houston Texan like yourself, or is it anybody else?
Booker T, Undertaker. I love Kofi Kingston, and who else? Eddie Guerrero. Yeah, I loved Eddie Guerrero back in the day. So those are my favorites. And then I always did like John Cena as well. Your Rey Mysterios. Those are great guys too. But I used to love watching wrestling. I watched it pretty much every week till I got to college, and then I kind of fell off.
Gotcha. Well, it's good. It's good to be on the show here on the Fowler Show. It's been a pleasure, everyone, for the quick conversation. I know you're a very busy man, so I don't want to keep you too long. So it's been a pleasure having you on the Fowler Show here live on YouTube. Will you come back on again? And who would you suggest for me to get in contact with next?
To contact next, I'd recommend Eric Anders. He's always a super fun interview. Really cool guy. ERYKANDERS. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram as well. He's always a super fun interview. I recommend him.
Okay, will do. Well, I will definitely get in contact with him then. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And again, so what's your plans for the rest of today then?
Today, my freshmen have a football game that I'll be going to. My girlfriend has the day off, so we will probably watch one of the new comedies out on Netflix. And then, other than that, just gotta, food, go pay some bills, and go from there. Gotcha.
Well, it sounds like a good day to do some relaxing things then. So it's not bad. It does do some real life things as well, some boring things, but it sounds like a probably good day. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day in Houston, Texas. And Burrow is here on the Fowler Show. Thank you for tuning into these two fantastic interviews. Because we had some technical difficulties with our first interview with Mark Haskins. Again, you can catch that now on youtube.com on demand, hopefully, anyway. If it's saved, I don't know. That's the first time it's frozen me. And again, I keep calling him that name again. Don't know why. I'm going to call him Adams here on the Fowler Show. My mistake for you. But, he's a nice guy, the cool guy. And we want to see him in Manchester. So UFC, make it official. Bring him to the UK to get some passionate fans behind him. And until the next episode drops on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or right here on YouTube, then enjoy the rest of your morning, night, evening, or afternoon.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.